Hello, I am back from Nova Scotia after spending one wonderful week there with the kids and my partner. And it's good to be back. Good to cook for ourselves again. That's one thing about going on vacation is that sometimes, it's nice to relax and be catered to and have free breakfast and have food that you don't have to cook to indulge a little bit and go out to restaurants. But it's also very good to be back at home and to relax. And for me as an artist, especially to get back to my painting again, which I have been doing all morning. This here is my newest painting, and it is a photograph I took of my son. And I'm not quite complete, but I took the photograph when he was, leaning on me. We were sitting on a bench, and I kind of tilted my camera high up, and he looked at me, and this was the angle I got. It's really funny and cute. And it was kind of makes for a nice photo too. Funny as well. So I thought I'd paint it. I really missed painting, especially after being in Halifax and going to various museums and seeing the artwork of other people as well. We went to the Maudie Museum at the Halifax Art Gallery, or National Art Gallery of Halifax, and we saw Maudie. She was a folk artist through the 60s and 70s, and she was handicapped or disability, severe arthritis, that sometimes she had to hold the paintbrush in between her fingers. And so she lived with her fisherman husband in this really tiny house, and every aspect of the house, every wooden panel of the house was painted with her beautiful flowers and birds and and even dogs, and cats. So she was a very, very good artist, and she ended up selling her work as well, starting off with just selling them postcards. Whenever her husband would sell fish, she'd offer the postcards to the clients, and then next thing you know, internationally, people are calling her up from all over the world wanting to buy paintings from her. So and that's how she got famous. She died at the age of 70, and she died because of her illness. And their house, their very tiny house that they lived in, was actually taken. It was taken away from, it was put into this art gallery. Anyway, it was restored because a lot of it was moldy and not looking the best. So they had some art restorers come and restore this house and put it in this art gallery, just move it over to the art gallery. And the way they restored it was exactly like the way it was, through photographs. And so that inspired me. And of course, through the National Art Gallery, we saw other exhibitions too of other artists and contemporary artists as well. And that inspired me to paint. I missed it a lot. And so it feels good to be back to paint again. But anyway, it was a really good trip. I loved the architecture, and that's something I don't really paint much, but I do appreciate photography. And so I took a lot of photography pictures as well of the city of Halifax. Halifax is surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, and it is very much a port city. So lots of like that's basically where, first of all, we went to the Immigration Museum, Pier 21, and a lot of newly arrived immigrants dating way back from in the 1700s already, or the mid 1700s already, would come in by boat through, and they'd basically arrive in what is now today Halifax. Of course, it did not have that name when they first arrived. It was another name given by the Micmac indigenous language, which I can't remember now. But anyway, that's where when immigrants would arrive, and all through until today, it's one of the places where a lot of people do come in by boat. It's also a major export and import station, a route too. So a lot of the port at in Halifax is where a lot of goods come from other countries, and you can see these large crates, and they're there permanently, and quite often they lift the cargo off the boats and onto the dock. And in these cargo, what people use for house containers sometimes is, you can purchase these containers and actually build houses with them. But these containers have stuff like sweaters, other merchandise, toothpaste, toothbrushes, I don't know, you name it. Different kinds of furniture that might be imported and into these crates. Anyway, they get lifted off the boat, and then they can get loaded onto a train and then trained or shipped to other parts of Canada. So it's very much a port city. So I took a lot of pictures of the port as well, and of lots of boats passing. And the final thing I wanted to say about Halifax too is that it is the home of the Citadel. During World War One, during World War One and World War Two, they had a military there, like a base, a citadel. It was actually built underground so that when the enemy would shoot at them, it would go over their heads. And every day at 12 o'clock, they shoot a cannon, just to symbolize the, and I guess commemorate their war efforts at protecting themselves and defending their Navy base. And this was since World War One. And we got to take a tour of the Citadel as well, and see their cannons and see them firing off their guns. We got to take a tour inside where the soldiers would sleep and how they would eat, and basically even their dressing rooms, from where they would get all dressed up into their gear. And we toured the Army Museum, even knowing the role that women played in the base. Women did not serve as soldiers then, but they were, women served as nurses for the injured. Women also served as administration. So basically telling a soldier where they might be needed next in battle, or who they had to report to. It was often a woman then who got that job once women started expressing an interest for women's rights and wanting to also work in the Navy. So and quite often it was harsh conditions, very cold, and the lieutenant would sleep. I found this kind of interesting and funny. The lieutenant would sleep closest to the door. I guess a lieutenant or captain or commander would sleep closest to the exit door. And the tour guide asked anyone if we knew why. Does anyone know why they would sleep closest to the door? And this one gentleman in the tour group said jokingly, so that no soldiers can escape. And although he was joking, she said, I know you're joking, but you're actually right. Because what would happen is a lot of people who would, it was conscription then. You had no choice. A lot of men had no choice, and they had to be in the war then. And they had to be in this line of work and serve their country that way. But a lot didn't want to. And a lot of soldiers were actually caught escaping at nighttime while everybody was sleeping. And if they were caught escaping, they would be dragged right back. Given their punishment would be more chores and just more restrictions to them. And more, lack of freedom than with tighter restrictions. More chores, more duties than the average soldier if they were caught escaping. So, the lieutenant would sleep closest to the door so that if anyone tried to get up, he could get closest to the door and basically tackle them down again before they escape. And if he caught anyone escaping, they would not be punished just for the act itself, because they knew that that was understandable, that people did not want to be living in these harsh conditions. But it was only the punishments would only come after they had escaped. Initially had escaped and there was a search going on for them. And then when they were found again, that's when they would be punished. But just the act of escaping, at first, no, they'd be tackled to the ground. And then, no, you can't. So, it's kind of funny that way. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you very much for watching. And please enjoy the rest of the photos of the citadel and the military base during World War I and World War II.